Hello everyone, this is your unemployed chef. I hope everybody is staying nice and cool. In my area, yesterday it was like 100 degrees, and I was like, no. So I just stayed my butt right inside this house in my AC with my water container, towel, sunglasses, everything. Yes, sunglasses in the house. I don't do well in the heat. But the only other thing good about summer, besides swimming in AC, are peaches. So for today's video, I'll be making something called a peach crumble. It's a very, very, very easy dessert, even something I can do, and that's saying a lot. I was able to get this right on the first try. It's delicious, it's refreshing. So before we get started, make sure that you have your oven preheated to 375. It's going to take a while. And also, so right now, I pitted and have had about 4 peaches. Now, these are very, very, very ripe. You don't have to do them super ripe, but don't do them this way. Technically, you're not supposed to because it's harder to work with, and you don't want them to spoil before your eyes. But luckily, they're not spoiled. They're just very, very ripe. Do that, and you're going to slice them up, and I'll get to that. So 4 peaches. You're going to want about 1 cup of flour, all purpose. You're going to need I think this isn't exactly an 8x8 baking pan, but if you have something similar, just slightly bigger, that's fine. And you would need 7 tablespoons of softened butter, not melted, softened butter, because that is very, very important that you have the butter softened so you can get a crumbly texture when you make the crumble topping. What I did for my butter, since I just took it out of the fridge, I just put it on for 20 seconds, and I took it out, checked the texture, and it was softened. So softened, it could be very, very soft, but as long as it's softened and not melted, that's fine. I have some honey to sweeten up my peaches. I have about 1/4 cup of blended raw cane sugar. You could use regular white sugar, but because I have raw sugar, especially because if you have raw sugar, make sure to blend it up very well, because white sugar is better at absorbing moisture in recipes versus just the raw version of it, and your recipe could come out dry. So make sure if you have raw sugar, do this. Some cinnamon for the crumble topping and some nice aroma. A little bit of salt just to enhance the flavor. And that's about it. So what I'm going to do now is just spread out some of this butter in my pan. I'm going to save this piece for my topping. And you're just going to grease the pan with the butter. It doesn't have to be fancy. Like so. And then once that is done, set the butter aside, and then we're going to slice up these peaches. So what I do, I just take my peach, give it a good slice like this, not too thick. I don't have a set thickness measurement, but something close to this. You don't want it, I mean, if you want it chunky, you can. It's a free country. And this is very, very, very easy to do if you have a paring knife. You could probably also use like canned peaches. I never thought about doing that. I just like the taste of fresh peaches. So if you have canned peaches, you should be able to use it. But if you have a Kitchen Fiasco in the kitchen, because it is a kitchen, because it's a kitchen fiasco. Don't look my way, don't call my way, don't quote me. I don't want to be sued by anybody. So once those are cut up, you can set those to the side. And now here comes my crumble topping. So here's my flour, and I set it in this bowl because I really hate using this analogy, but this is just to show how much I hate using flour. Maybe that's why I don't like baking as much, but I do like baking this. Flour has a tendency to act like the herpes of the kitchen, and it spreads everywhere and it just keeps spreading. So I just like to keep my flour in a bowl where it's nice and contained. So I'm just going to mix that up, make sure there's no clumps. And you're just going to take your softened butter and just drop it in. Okay. And then I'm going to put some cinnamon. I don't really have a set measurement for the cinnamon, but you could, I just like to put enough so I can smell the cinnamon, and it's very fragrant. How about that? And next, I'm going to put in my sugar. And when I say we're done, you will not believe me. This is a very, very simple, fast recipe. I'm going to give that a good mix with my trusty spoon. And this is where we get down and dirty. So you want to just mix everything up with your hands until it represents kind of like a coarse meal texture. And if you find a clump of butter, make sure to, break it up. And what we're doing now is that the butter is hydrating the dry flour. So that's why it is going to clump up as we go along. I think I want it a little bit more crumbly, so I think I'm going to add in another tablespoon of butter, softened butter. So I will be right back. Okay, so this is what my crumble topping looks like after the extra butter. And I'm going to put in a little bit more cinnamon. And you can also tell if you put enough cinnamon by the color, it'll turn brown. And next, we're going to take these peaches and just put them in a nice even layer in the pan. And then I'm going to drizzle just a small amount of honey. Like that, just to give them a little sweetness. And then I'm just going to sprinkle the crumble over the peaches. It's not going to be completely covered. It's a very, very easygoing dessert. That's something I can get behind. Spread it out evenly. So this is what the dessert looks like. You can see the peaches on the bottom. And you're going to bake this for about 45 to 50 minutes or until it's golden brown. And into the oven it goes. "40 minutes on the clock. Go." So my 45 minutes is up. My crumble has a beautiful golden brown crust. And it should make this sound. And you'll see a little bit of jamming from the peaches right here. That's because the sugars have caramelized and cooked down. Now if you see some extra browning, that's okay. It's not going to cook completely evenly, but as long as it's golden brown on top, it's good. And if you check on the bottom, all the peaches have set nicely in their places. And we are going to let this cool for about 10 minutes because it's very, very hot. Cut out a portion of my peach crumble. I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. So it is crumbly. Sometimes you don't have to make the most fancy things in order to make delicious food. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and you know the rest. This is your unemployed chef, and always chase that yum.